I didn't realize how much I needed you guys until recently when I've been getting some really good requests. And recently I had a request basically talking about red flags when you're shopping on Facebook Marketplace. I think this could help with Craigslist as well, but I'm not as familiar with Craigslist. So this is more geared toward how to avoid scams on Facebook Marketplace when you're buying things for your home or otherwise, but most likely you're buying things for your home. I have a lot of experience with this, so I have a laundry list of things that can help you when you're shopping on Facebook Marketplace. These are things to avoid and things to look out for, I guess. So let's just get right to it. Before we do though, my name is Michelle Montana. This is my interior design YouTube channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you're new here, I hope you stick around. And if you're not new here, thank you for sticking around. So the first thing, and this one can be a little bit tricky because sometimes sellers are selling because they're moving out of their home and they're on a tight time budget. And whenever a seller has a sense of urgency where you need to come and get this now, that kind of thing, there can be some not so okay versions of that and some okay versions of that. I'd say the okay version is it's already in their description of the product. I'm moving, need this gone ASAP. Or, if they're just a seller and they're not giving that vibe of we're trying to clean house because we're moving across the country in 1 week, you have to kind of pick up those details. So if they're pushing you and there's this sense of urgency, when can you come get this? I need this gone by tomorrow. You have to decide whether or not that feels safe to you. And I know that's kind of vague, but this is the only vague tip. I just say kind of go with your gut on this one when it comes to this push and pressure to you need to come get this now, because sometimes they could be trying to pull the wool over your eyes, and they're scamming you in a sense of the product might not be as good of condition as they're saying it is, or they're overcharging you for something that they know isn't worth as much as what they're charging. Things like that. So I would just be really cautious and follow the next kind of tips when there is kind of an urgency to get you to buy. The next kind of red flag to look out for is if they want to hold your money, if they want you to pay up front in any way, to hold on to the item, to reserve the item, to, ensure that you're going to come. And sometimes this can be an okay hold, but I've had a friend who was asked to pay for the item via Venmo before they even went to get the product, before they were even given the address. You need an exchange of information, right? So if you're asking me to Venmo you, I need an address first. I need a location first. Now, I will say I don't recommend doing this unless you absolutely feel really confident you have some sort of mutual friend with the person on Facebook, because this friend who sent them money ahead of time went to the location, showed up, no one was there was no item to be seen, and no one answered her after that. So she essentially showed up on site, had already sent them $100 on Venmo to pay for the entire item, and Venmo can't help you at that point, and neither can Facebook. So I would just be really careful if anyone's asking you to put a hold on the item using money. Another instance of this that I encountered was that someone was offering an item, or rather like 3 items, which I'll explain later, for $700, and they said that they could help transport the item to where I needed it to go. And I was excited. I was like, okay, great. But they wanted us to come and look at the items, assess it, and give them cash on the spot, and then they would help deliver. And In a situation like that, I don't recommend handing someone $700 for them to potentially not go through. I had a couple of red flags with this guy, so I ended up not going to look at the items at all, and I didn't buy them. But I did ask if he would accept a deposit. Like, can I give you $100 and then I'll give you the rest when you come and deliver? And he said no. He was like, absolutely. I was like, what about half? Like, he was absolutely not willing to work with me on it. So it just was too sketchy, especially for what the item was, which I'll get into later because it's kind of another red flag. But bottom line is, never give anyone all of the money for them to hold on to it for you before they deliver it or something like that. A lot of people are willing to do deposits, and that's more of like a typical, like, I'm trusting you, you're trusting me to hold on to the item, to take my money, and you should never pay anyone entirely upfront for whatever item it is, no matter what it is. Another thing to look out for is if the photos are screenshots. I'll put in a couple of examples. Like, sometimes you have to click on the photo to see the whole thing. I always look at the entire photo because sometimes you'll be able to tell that it's multiple screenshots, and I just don't trust that. If it's screenshots, I just feel like that person didn't obviously take those images, and why wouldn't you have the original photos if you were making like multiple listings? Like, let's say you're posting on Craigslist and Facebook and OfferUp or something like that. I don't understand why you wouldn't put the same fresh photos that you took on each listing. You wouldn't like post it on Facebook, screenshot all the photos, and then go post it on Craigslist. So I wouldn't mess with anyone who's posting screenshots for the listing of the item. This is a little bit more common when you're looking for an apartment rental and less so of an item. Like, I just don't understand why there would be a screenshot of the image. If this item is readily available, they should have fresh photos. A big red flag is that if it is an insanely low price for the quality of the item and they know what the item is. So for example, someone could be selling a Le Corbusier sofa and they just post it as black leather sofa with chrome detail. They don't know. There's a good chance that they don't know that it's a Le Corbusier. If this listing is for $700 and it is a 3-piece Le Corbusier set for $700, and they say Le Corbusier, even if it's a knockoff, knockoffs still go for a lot of money because oftentimes they were even made around the same time as the originals. So they're still worth a lot because the quality is still there, or it has that look of Le Corbusier. I found a chaise. I'll try to insert a photo if I can. A chaise, a chair, and a Le Corbusier sofa for $700. This is that same example of this guy where I was like, there's too many red flags. And it seemed like he just wanted to get rid of them quickly. I'm not entirely sure what the situation was, but it just doesn't make sense for something with that title saying that this is a replica Le Corbusier or whatever. If they know that, that's worth at least, and I live in Pittsburgh, so it's harder to sell things like at market value, I'd say. So at least $2,000 for a 3-piece set like that. Like, my mind was blown that this was $700. And so I was like, absolutely. But then there were too many other red flags where I was like, no, this is a no-go. So keep your eye out for that. If people are saying that like they know what it is and it's really cheap, there's a chance that there's some scamming afoot. So those are just kind of like a few different examples of what makes me question a seller's integrity, and a few different ways that you can test and like look out for, I guess, proving that this is a real person or proving that they're good for their word. I always look at the seller's profile. They'll have two profiles, a commerce profile and their Facebook profile. The whole reason that Facebook came up with this idea was to avoid the scams. You see who it is. You have a picture that this is a legit person, that they have history on Facebook, and they can be trusted because there's their photo, there's their name. You know who you're meeting up with. I mean, if you were being completely catfished and, you know, the Facebook photo that you saw is not who shows up or isn't who answers the door, turn around immediately. That's like too easy of a red flag. But when you're debating on whether it's worth it or not for you to pursue this item, look at their profile. If they only made their Facebook profile in the last couple of years, that's a red flag. Also, a big red flag is that if let's say they've had this Facebook profile for a really long time and all of the posts on their wall don't align and they're tagging this other person and it just like doesn't look like it's from the same person, it's not real. It is not legit. Like, you do not want to be in that situation because that person has essentially like stolen this profile from somebody else, and then they switched the photo and changed the name to make it look like it's them, so you think you're not getting scammed, and then all of a sudden, you know, the whole profile was stolen from someone else. So they're not going to be legit, that's for sure. So look at their posts on their wall, look at the things that they've sold before, if they have sold anything before, look at their reviews, all of these things. Like, you can't just trust anybody just because they have a Facebook profile. I honestly don't even, if I've never heard of a website before, I always Google the website and see what kind of reviews the website has. You can't just assume that because something is for sale online that it's going to be legitimate. You could be dealing with an uncredible company. They're just trying to take your money. So always look at the reviews. Always, 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 for whatever you're buying. Even if you're buying a rug from CB2, look at the reviews. Can't just trust the name. Last thing with looking at profiles is just look at their photos. If there's only one photo and they're like very stock imagey, or it's just cats, like, I just don't think that seems very legit. So you could take this one step further. Their profile is kind of like questionable. It's hard to tell. Yes, they have history, but they're not very active. Like for me, for example, my Facebook is not a very active profile. So that could be a red flag to a buyer. And they might just have to like take a risk that this person isn't very active. But I also have like really old photos on there, super old posts. Like, you can really stalk me on Facebook. Please don't. So if they're being pushy and you're not so sure about their profile, ask to see more photos. Even if you have to make something up, like, ask for them to send you another photo. If there's excuses of like, oh, it's in storage, like blah, 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 it's not worth it. It is not worth it. Unless you can tell that they are a profile kind of like this, where they do this, where they sell a lot of stuff. I mean, this person has a good profile. They have good reviews. They obviously sell a lot of stuff out of their storage unit. That's a little bit different. But if they are like, oh, it's wrapped up, it's not put together, I just don't think that that is worth you wasting your time over. It's not that great. It's Facebook Marketplace. You'll find something better, or you'll find something else. I just think that if you can't get another photo, then even if it's like, okay, let's say it's a dresser. Can you send me pictures of the corners? I just want to see, or can I see what the legs look like up close, or just like one leg? Like, it was hard to tell from the photos. Can I get a better detail of this? Anything. Come up with anything. Especially if they only have one photo, ask for a second photo. Just say, can I have one more photo a little bit closer up? Anything. Another way that you can kind of like test them is ask for more specific measurements. again, if it's a dresser, you could ask for the depth of the drawer. Like, how deep are the drawers? Like, how, I don't know how to describe this. Like, if you want to know how many sweaters you can fold up in the bottom drawer and stack on top of each other, ask about the depth of one of the drawers. Does that make sense? I'll try to insert a photo. Like, ask for this measurement of the drawer. How tall is the drawer? Anything. Ask for the measurement of each leg. I don't know. Ask for something that is just kind of like weird and whatever. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but if you're going to buy something and let's say you can't get it until the weekend, ask if you can give them a deposit. This is obviously risky on your part, but if you've already done all your research and you've looked through their profile and they seem legit and you have one mutual friend or something, ask if they'll hold it for you if you give them a deposit. Don't give them all of your money. If it's a couple $100, ask if you can give them $50 or $100. I know that that's like can be like a big ask if you're like investing in a piece and like you're potentially gonna lose $50, but most people, if they're willing to hold the item for you until the weekend and they'll take a deposit from you, I'd say in my experience, I haven't had any issues with that. I've always been able to give a deposit and get my item later. If they're not willing to take a deposit, like I kind of said before, something's sketchy. For some reason, they want to take all or nothing. I don't jive with that. I just think that something's a little funky. Last but not least, the only green flag, and there is only one, the only green flag for if something or someone is legit is if the item is free. There's no money involved. They're not trying to scam you. A free item is a free item because oftentimes they're gonna be like, oh, I'm leaving it on my porch, just like come and get it whenever, or I'll set it out on my porch before you arrive or something like that, because I like contactless pickup, especially as a seller. I love to just be like, oh yeah, I'll just set it outside for you and you can come get it. I'll set it out. Let me know when you're on your way and I'll set it outside. I don't want to talk to people. We had a whole global pandemic. I don't need to be face to face with strangers. So that is it. Those are my tips and tricks for buying on Facebook Marketplace. At the end of the day, you need to trust your gut. If someone just seems a little fishy, it's not worth it. No matter what it is not worth it. Always trust your gut, and if your gut's telling you don't go, don't go. I honestly was 10 minutes away from picking up that 3-piece Le Corbusier set. And I just had this like gut feeling where I was like, this is not right. I almost fell for it. I almost died. I almost was shot in the head. No, I have no idea what he would have done or if it was a scam. However, I did test him later. Ooh, here's another good test. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is a big one. If someone is being weird with you, ask an adult, I'm 28 years old. Ask your mom or dad, probably your dad, or your uncle, or your mother-in-law, which is what I did, to message that seller and see what they say. When I canceled the Le Corbusier pickup and he was like, what changed after I gave you my address? I just blocked him. I was like, I don't owe you anything or an explanation or anything. I don't know you. I don't owe you anything. I had my mother-in-law reach out to say, hey, is this available? I'm very interested. He didn't answer her. So get your friends involved, get other people involved, get your someone involved. Because if he's willing to talk to me and sell to me, but not to someone I know that isn't, someone who isn't as maybe vulnerable looking as I might be, then they definitely have ulterior motives. If you notice a time jump, I had to take a little break because my washing machine got aggressively loud. So I gotta hurry before it revs up again. I'm just gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's it. I hope that you took something away from all these tips and tricks. Basically, that's all I look out for, are those things. And let me know if you want me to do the opposite, like how to avoid scams as a seller too, because I think I'm well acquainted with that as well. But I just wanted to start here and help you guys furnish your homes, because that is what I love to do. I mean, honestly, 90% of my home is from Facebook Marketplace. Maybe like 80%. There's a lot. If this is helpful to you, or you think it might be helpful for a friend, please share it, like and comment and subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. I feel like I might be doing like this might be, or something else might be a bonus video. Okay, I'm gonna go enjoy the sun. It's like 70 degrees outside, which is a rare thing here in Pittsburgh. Okay, love you, bye.